They broke you quietly. Not with fists. Not with fury. But with little moments, dismissed feelings, ignored words, 1,000 tiny surrenders you made just to keep the peace. And one day, you woke up and realized, you don't know who you are anymore. You're not living. You're surviving. You're shrinking. You're apologizing for taking up space. But strength was never something you lost. It's something you forgot. And before you can become strong again, you have to understand how you became weak in the first place. No one is born a victim. We're born screaming, full of instinct and fire. A baby doesn't care if it disturbs the room. If it needs something, it demands it. Loudly. Without shame. But somewhere along the way, that fire gets tamed. Maybe you were told to be good, stay quiet, don't make trouble. Maybe someone made you feel like your needs were too much. Maybe love came with conditions. Maybe anger was punished. Maybe crying was ridiculed. And so you started suppressing. You learned to please. You learned to adapt. You smiled when you were hurt. You said yes when you wanted to scream no. You made yourself smaller so others wouldn't feel insecure. You became what others needed, and in the process, forgot what you needed. That's how victimhood begins, not with catastrophe, but with subtle betrayal of the self. Over and over. And over. And here's the truth no one wants to say out loud: we stay victims because it's familiar. Because playing small feels safe. Because we're afraid that if we finally take up space, if we finally speak with our full voice, someone might leave. Someone might disapprove. And that fear, it's paralyzing. But the fear of rejection is nothing compared to the quiet death of living without your power. So ask yourself, what have you been tolerating that's killing you slowly? What have you convinced yourself is normal, even though it hurts? Maybe it's the relationship that drains you. The job that belittles you. The family that guilts you into submission. Maybe it's the voice in your own head that tells you you're not good enough to want more. Victimhood is a mindset. It's not your circumstances. It's how you interpret them. Life is brutal to everyone at some point. But two people can go through the exact same hell, and one will emerge hardened, wiser, unbreakable. The other will collapse, blaming the world forever. The difference? One takes ownership. That's the first step to becoming strong again. Responsibility. Not blame. Not guilt. Not shame. Responsibility. The decision to say, I didn't cause everything that happened to me. But I choose what happens next. This is where real power begins. Not in fighting others. Not in dominating the world. But in reclaiming sovereignty over yourself. You cannot change your past. But you can stop letting it define your present. You can stop waiting for someone to rescue you. No one is coming. And that's not a tragedy, that's your liberation. Because if no one is coming to save you, then you are free to save yourself. And let's be honest, some part of you already knows this. That's why you're still listening. That's why this hurts to hear. Because deep inside, there's a voice that never died. A voice that's been whispering, even in your darkest nights, you were made for more than this. But you buried that voice beneath years of survival. You told yourself stories to numb the pain. I can't. It's too late. I'm not strong enough. And you believed them. Because it's easier to believe a lie than to face the fear of change. But strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. You must confront your patterns. Your people. Your past. But most of all, you must confront yourself. You must stop negotiating with your weakness. You must stop asking for permission to be whole. No one can do this for you. Not a book. Not a partner. Not a mentor. Not a therapist. They can help. They can guide. But the heavy lifting, it's yours. And the most dangerous thing about being a victim is that it becomes your identity. It becomes your excuse to not try. It becomes your reason to stay stuck. And slowly, you begin to fear freedom more than oppression. Because freedom demands something of you. It demands choices. It demands action. It demands discipline. And yes, it demands pain. But here's the beautiful secret that all truly strong people know. The pain of becoming strong is temporary. The pain of staying weak lasts a lifetime. You've suffered long enough. You've lived in fear long enough. You've told the same story long enough. Now is the time to burn the old script. Now is the time to become someone new. Not because you're broken, but because you're done pretending you're not powerful. You don't need to be fearless to begin. You just need to be tired of your own excuses. That's when change begins, not in a dramatic moment, not with some external event, but with a quiet decision. I'm not doing this anymore. Not one more fake smile. Not one more swallowed truth. Not one more day spent living for other people's approval. That decision is the turning point. It's not flashy. It's not loud. But it is absolute. And it is yours. This is not the end of your story. It's the moment you stop waiting to be saved, and become the one who saves yourself. You don't need more time. You don't need more books, more motivation, more validation. You don't need to wait for the right moment. That moment is a lie. It doesn't exist. What you need is a standard. A line in the sand that says, this version of me dies here. Because you've been walking around like a ghost in your own life, haunted by potential, burdened by fear. You smile when you're supposed to, nod when expected, perform the rituals of being fine. But inside, you're crumbling. And no one sees it. Or worse, they do see it, and they've learned to ignore it. Because you taught them how to treat you. You made it easy to walk all over you. You made it easy to assume you'll stay quiet. You made it easy to assume you'd never leave. That ends now. People will treat you the way you allow them to. Life will give you what you're willing to tolerate. Every time you let something slide, every time you stay silent to keep the peace, you reinforce your cage. But here's the truth. What you allow is what will continue. So how do you change that? You stop allowing. You change the rules of engagement. You teach people how to treat you, by treating yourself differently first. Because you can't expect respect when you secretly loathe yourself. You can't expect love when you betray yourself daily. You can't expect to be chosen when you never choose you. This isn't about becoming arrogant. This isn't about becoming aggressive. This is about becoming rooted. Clear. Whole. It starts with boundaries. Not walls, boundaries. Boundaries are not punishments. They are clarity. They say, this is what I accept. This is who I am. This is where I end and you begin. And at first, people will resist. Of course they will. You've trained them to expect the weaker version of you. The one who says, yes, while dying inside. The one who overgives, over-apologizes, over-explains. The one who tries to be everything to everyone, and ends up invisible to herself. When that version starts to disappear, people will be confused. They might even be angry. That's normal. When you shift, you interrupt their comfort. But let them be uncomfortable. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your growth. You are responsible for your own alignment. And that means making peace with discomfort. Because healing is uncomfortable. Choosing yourself is uncomfortable. Speaking your truth is uncomfortable, especially when you're used to swallowing it. But every time you choose your truth over their comfort, you reclaim your life. And piece by piece, you begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. That's what strength is. It's not loud. It's not theatrical. It's quiet integrity. It's standing in the storm without bending to please. It's being willing to disappoint others, so you stop disappointing yourself. But don't be naive, this isn't an overnight process. You will feel doubt. You will feel guilt. You will feel grief, not just for the life you lived, but for the self you abandoned. And that grief is necessary. It means you're coming home. There's a kind of pain that's sacred, the kind that comes from shedding everything false. The kind that comes from growth. It's not weakness. It's the labor of rebirth. And there's no shortcut. No affirmation will save you if you keep making cowardly choices. No book will transform you if you keep avoiding confrontation. No mentor will fix you if you refuse to face the mirror. Because the truth is, you already know what to do. You just haven't decided to do it yet. So stop pretending you're confused. You're not confused. You're afraid. And that's okay. But let's call it what it is. Let's stop dressing fear up as overthinking. Let's stop calling avoidance patience. Let's stop calling inaction self-care. You don't need more self-care. You need more self-respect. And self-respect begins when you say, I deserve better than this. Not just from others, but from yourself. Because if we're honest, the worst betrayals haven't come from strangers. They've come from the moments you betrayed yourself. The moments you said, yes, when everything in you screamed, no, the moments you stayed when you should have walked away. The moments you lowered your standards just to feel loved. But love without respect isn't love. It's need. It's addiction. It's fear dressed in the language of affection. You were not made to live afraid. You were not made to be small. You were not made to be passive in the story of your own life. And the good news? You don't have to stay there. You can end this chapter today. Not by running. Not by pretending. But by facing the raw, honest truth. You have more power than you've been using. You've just been too scared to step into it. But what if, just for a moment, you stopped asking, what will they think, and started asking, what do I think? What if you stopped performing, and started living? What if you stopped waiting to be chosen, and chose yourself instead? Because no one is going to knock on your door and hand you your worth. You have to claim it. You have to build it. You have to become it. And it starts right here. Right now. With one question. What would your life look like, if you stopped being a victim? And what if, starting today, you began acting like the strong person you were always meant to be? Strength isn't given. It's earned, one hard decision at a time. And the first real decision? To stop lying to yourself. To stop sugarcoating your story. To stop playing innocent when deep down, you participated in your own suffering. You made the excuses. You gave the second chances. You ignored the red flags. You silenced your voice. You taught people how far they could go with you, and they learned fast. That's not to say you deserved it. You didn't. But now it's on you to end it. Because staying a victim might protect your ego, but it will destroy your life. And sooner or later, you have to choose, do I want to be right, or do I want to be free? Victims always need someone to blame. Someone to carry the weight of their unhappiness. But strong people, they look in the mirror and take ownership. No more pointing fingers. No more stories that keep you safe and small. Just the truth. You're not helpless. You never were. You were just convinced that survival was all you could ask for. That if you had a roof, if you had a job, if you had someone, anyone, who didn't leave, then that was enough. And maybe it was. For a time. But you're here now because something inside you woke up. A quiet rebellion. A refusal to live one more day under the weight of your own limitations. That voice inside, the one you've buried for years. It's not going away. It's growing louder. And if you don't listen, it will turn into restlessness. Then resentment. Then rage. You weren't born to be silent. You weren't born to be numb. You were born to feel deeply, to speak boldly, to act with clarity. So if you're stuck, it's not because you lack power. It's because you've been giving it away. To people who don't deserve it. To fear. To habit. To stories that no longer serve the person you're becoming. Reclaiming your strength means rewriting those stories. The story that says you're not good enough. The story that says you'll always be broken. The story that says, this is just who I am. No. That's who you were when you didn't know better. But now you do. And here's the uncomfortable part, knowing is not enough. You must act. You must begin saying no without guilt. You must walk away without explaining yourself to people who never deserved access in the first place. You must break your own patterns, before they break you. And you will be tested. Don't romanticize healing. Don't pretend it's pretty. Strength comes at a price. You will lose people. You will lose comfort. You will lose the illusion of safety that came with your smaller self. But in return, you'll gain peace. The kind of peace that doesn't come from control, but from alignment. The kind that lives in your bones when you stop betraying yourself to fit into a world that never saw your worth. You were not put here to perform. You were not put here to win approval. You were put here to live fully, honestly, fiercely. And if that threatens people, so be it. Their comfort is not your responsibility. Your healing is. So let it hurt. Let it rip through everything false. Let it show you who your real friends are. Let it burn away the parts of you that were never truly yours. Because that pain, that burn, it's not your end. It's your beginning. You will rise, not in spite of your wounds, but because of them. Stronger, wiser, sharper, and more dangerous to the systems that thrived on your silence. They won't know what to do with you anymore. You, the one who no longer flinches. You, the one who no longer apologizes for existing. You, the one who walks away without fear. That version of you, the real you, has been waiting a long time to come home. And now it's time. Not to become someone new, but to become who you were before the world told you to be afraid. This is your moment. No fanfare. No applause. Just you, choosing yourself for the first time in years. This is how strength is built. One raw, honest, quiet decision at a time. You don't owe the world your silence anymore. You've played the quiet one, the polite one, the peacemaker. You've kept your head down, swallowed your truth, smiled through disrespect. You wore the mask so well, even you started to forget it was a mask. But you remember now. You remember what it felt like to believe in your own voice. You remember what it was like to move without fear. You remember the fire, the one they tried to put out with guilt and control and shame. It's still there. Maybe dimmed. Maybe buried. But it never died. And now it's time to fan the flame. Because strength isn't a performance. It's not a perfect posture or flawless confidence. It's not pretending to have it all together. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about being real. Being willing to stand alone if that's what truth requires. Being willing to lose people if that's what self-respect costs. Being willing to rebuild your life from ashes, brick by brick, with hands that are trembling but determined. Being strong means becoming dangerous to anything that wants you small. To anyone who benefits from your silence. To every lie that told you your worth was conditional. This is what they never tell you: when you stop being a victim, you become a threat. Because victims are easy to manage. Easy to manipulate. Easy to control. Victims play nice. They stay quiet. They obey. But a strong person, someone who knows their value, someone who stands in their truth, someone who will not be broken again. That person changes every room they walk into. So be that person. And don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to be fearless. That's not how this works. Courage doesn't arrive first. Action does. You don't become strong by thinking about it. You become strong the day you stop tolerating your own excuses. The day you stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself instead. The day you stop blaming and start building. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. But it's real. And it's yours. Let people call you difficult. Let them call you selfish. Let them misunderstand your growth. You are not here to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding themselves. You are here to evolve. To rise. To rebuild your identity not from fear, but from truth. And yes, there will be days you miss the comfort of being small. Days where you wonder if maybe you should have stayed quiet, stayed agreeable, stayed safe. But remember this. You weren't safe. You were stuck. And there's a difference. Comfort isn't peace. Silence isn't healing. Tolerating mistreatment isn't love. So hold your ground. Speak with conviction, even if your voice shakes. Walk away with dignity, even if your legs tremble. Say no, like your life depends on it, because sometimes it does. And don't you dare apologize for demanding more. From others. From life. From yourself. Because you are not a victim anymore. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are not owned by your trauma. You are not responsible for the comfort of those who hurt you. You are the author now. And this chapter, it's written in your own blood, with your own hands, and no one gets to edit it but you. So start walking. Away from everything that made you feel powerless. Toward everything that reminds you who you are. Start slow if you have to. Start scared. Start alone. But start. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. And that's the best news you'll ever hear. Because now you know, it was never about being rescued. It was always about remembering. You were the storm all along.